At number 5, and this may be a little bit of recency bias, I am going to go with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. And I'm going with this fight not because it was extremely competitive or we watched one guy win one and another lose. The fact that these two men came out 3 times and they gave absolutely everything they had. The stories surrounding who they are as people and the third fight. For both men to be down on the mat, for both men to continue fighting, for us to see probably of the 3 fights, the least skill we saw from Tyson Fury, right? But the first time he said, you know what, I'm going to come out here and brawl. And then we actually saw that Deontay wanted to show skill. Deontay wanted to show technique. He came out with jabs. He went to the body. So that's number 5. At number 4 for me, I'm going to go Chuck Liddell and Randy Couture. Now, here is why this is very important to me, DC. Let me tell you why it's important to me. This trilogy truly is kind of what got us hooked or got me hooked on the UFC. I talk about the DVDs I used to buy all the time, man. Like I was stuck on these DVDs, the greatest knockouts and all these different things. But Chuck Liddell was my champion, right? You know, you see a dude that walks out built like a soccer dad, skinny arms, big belly. You know, he fights with his arms here, throws punches from every angle. So I loved him, but I loved the contrast of who Randy Couture is. The fact that he could be the heavyweight champ, he could be the light heavyweight champ,
Captain
was
America,
a great wrestler. You know, all these things. And so I thought the fact that also too, all 3 fights, DC, knockouts. All 3 fights ended in Chuck Liddell fashion. Now, at number 3, I'm going to go with Stipe Miocic and Daniel Cormier. Now, this is in no way recency bias, but this is what you want it to be, right? One guy wins the first fight. Another guy wins the second fight. And so in the third fight, we not only have 2 great champions, but you got the rubber match, right? You got the fight that we get to prove who is the best man. And it was during the time, like, we needed that entertainment, DC. Like, we needed 2 gladiators, 2 warriors to go out and leave it all in the octagon, and that's what we got. So to you, my friend, I am forever grateful for your sacrifices for all of us UFC fans. All right, at number 2, I'm going Arturo Gotti, Mickey Ward. Now, I went to the third fight. I was at the third fight. I got an opportunity to go to Atlantic City and see these 2 dudes.
Wasn't as good, though. It wasn't as good.
Wow. Can you let me finish? No, it wasn't as good as the first 2. But when the first 2 are as good as the first 2 are at DC, of course you're going to have a little drop off. Like we're not.
But they roped you in. You bought a ticket. You flew to Atlantic City. Got roped in.
I took a drive. I was playing for the Giants at the time. I drove. I was in New Jersey. So don't make it like that. And it was great. It was still a great fight. 2 men can't stand in the middle of the ring and punch each other in the face like that 3 times, all right? And at number 1, and if you don't have this or that number 1, DC, we obviously cannot talk and can no longer do the show, Ali Frazier. That is you have the fight of the century. You have the Thrill of Manila. That is truly the greatest combat sport fight trilogy of all time. So don't try to change it now, Corporate Jake. He can't try to change it now.
You know
that he was wrong.
Way. I don't need to. Ryan, you lost. You actually lost, Doug. It's over. I love your effort. Love the fights. They're all great fights. But Ryan, you lost. I mean, you lost.
Tell me how.
Listen, Ryan, I'm not a guy that pats himself on the back very often. But at number 5,
Are you not?
Yeah, well, I am. At number 5,
liars.
Ryan, I've got a bit of a split here. All right, at number 5, I've got a bit of a split. I've got no, come back, Ryan, come back, Ryan, come back. Hey, no, come back. I'm sorry. What do you mean? Like I couldn't pick a clear 5th. I got a bit of a split here. I got at number 5. One of my favorite fights of all time. Gotti versus Ward, your trilogy. I'm not going to speak on that. And another one of yours, me and Stipe. Those are 2 great trilogies that I thought were pretty similar, right? You got the win, the loss, the win. Could I finish? Please. I sat here quietly while you did your list. At number 4 for me, I got Frankie Edgar versus Maynard. That was a great trilogy. When Frankie was getting knocked about all over the place to come back and save a draw, and then to win in the way that he did, and then to win in the third fight the way that he did in Houston was crazy because he got hurt again early. Frankie Edgar versus Maynard at number 4. At number 3, love the Tyson Fury fight. Love Deontay Wilder. But Ryan, it was only maybe the third greatest heavyweight trilogy in boxing of all time? Because the second greatest boxing trilogy of all time is Riddick Bowe versus Evander Holyfield.
I knew he was going to go with that one.
Do you remember?
I knew he was going to go with that one.
Evander Holyfield versus Riddick Bowe
I do.
won?
Yes.
Riddick Bowe was the man. Nobody thought Evander had a chance. Riddick Bowe loses the belt to Evander Holyfield. He's a brawler. How's he going to beat the boxer? Evander wins. Riddick Bowe comes back. Fan man.
That's a good one, DC. No, that's a good one, DC.
Ring. I mean, come on. It had everything. At number 2, I agree with you. Chuck Liddell, Randy Couture. Randy Couture broke him down in fight number 1 and beat him. Yep. And then Chuck came back in the next 2 fights, knocked him out to win the title or remain champion. And number 1, you're right, the Thrilla in Manila, Ali versus Frazier. Nothing will ever touch that. The ebbs and flows of those fights, the 14th round, I mean, Frazier landed it. Boom! Left hook drops Ali out in Madison Square Garden, right? Tremendous. Greatest sports trilogy of all time. So once again, I will listen. Cormier and Miocic tied with Gotti Ward. Edgar versus Maynard. Bowe versus Holyfield. Liddell Couture. And lastly, Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. So Ryan Clark.
DC, can I ask a question?
What?
How come every time we do a list, you have some type of multiple answer?
Bro, what do you mean?
Like, so should we make it a top 6 list, DC?
No, wait.
DC,
no, wait.
DC, every time one time you selected the entire Diaz army. The entire army.
But that was just 5.
But DC,
at number 5, I chose the Nick Diaz army. I didn't say Nick Diaz, Jake Shields.
You did
Gil
say their
Melendez,
names. No, you said their names.
That would have been 8. But instead, I said the singular army. The army is 1. They are 1. The singular Nick Diaz
DC,
army is
you
what
picked,
I picked.
and you picked the Pistons, bro. You picked the Pistons.
What do you mean?
Every time we do a list, DC, you have all of these multiple answers. Like, why can't you just stick to the rules? Like
I stick to the rules.
For somebody who fought within the rules for over 3 dang decades in wrestling and the Olympics and the UFC and all of these, it's absolutely amazing that you can't stick to the rules.
Love your haircut. Love your part, love your haircut. But looking at this list, admit it. Admit it like I admitted last weekend. Just admit it. Admit it like I admitted last week.
So I'm going to say this.
Just lost.
I'm going to say this. 1, you used 2 of my answers in 1 answer. Correct? So I can't win there.
What did you say?
You used 2 of my answers in 1 answer. Right? To go 5. Then you do another one of my answers, Liddell Couture. My number 1 is your number 1.
It's the same.
Here is where you beat me. Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe is better.
That was a better trilogy.
It's a better trilogy than Fury Wilder. It was recency bias. You won.
I told you. You tried to preface it with that. Well, it might be recency bias, but I saw right through it because I knew I had you when you put that trilogy in. I knew it would happen to you. I knew it would rope you in. And look, I got you again. And once again, I'm the champion.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.